Shoggy, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, man? I got this crazy reflection that just started off through my blackout curtains, off of a picture I have, and into my eyeball. Look at that.
I was just going to say,
terrible.
How can you be on the show last week claiming to be like crazy tech guy and then get hit with sun in the face today, Shoggy?
Well, I can't control the sun, bud. Give me a second here. I can't.
It's a beautiful morning out at Rishaug.
It is a beautiful morning.
Rishaug Greens, hey? Like, the music
I'm not
going.
going to be able to hear you for a second.
Okay,
One second. I have to fix this.
All right, he's going to fix this. Let's see. He's gonna try to close it. I thought he said he had blackout curtain. How much darker can it get?
Nance. It's got to be. This is gonna be. Like
here's Ryan Rishaug, and he
check
returns.
1, 2.
Yeah, there we are. We got you.
1, 2. We're good.
What'd you do over there? The thing's gone.
Yeah. So what I did, Dusty, is I closed the curtain.
Ah, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. Man, you are a tech guy. I do it, Shoggy. Hey, was your text message to me this morning? Was that an April Fool's or was it a funny joke? What was this?
For some reason, I 1000% thought we didn't have a show. And so I don't know why, when you text me yesterday, I read it as we don't have a show. Like you were giving me the heads up that there's no show.
Oh.
Yeah.
So then this morning when I got the email from Matt, that here's your link, I'm like, we don't have a show. So I went. Now, when you text me, you texted on a chain. It was a chat.
Yeah. That's what it was.
So then I went back to just our text messages, and one of the last messages you sent was giving me the heads up there was no show. But that was from like October 2022 or something like that.
Yeah.
I just thought there was no show. So I was completely convinced there was no show.
Just say it was an April Fool's joke. Just say it was an April Fool's joke, right? Like
no.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's a lame April Fool's joke. Like April Fools, I thought we had no show.
Are you doing April Fool's today, Shoggy? I could see you either hating it or putting everything you have into it.
No, it's that's
okay.
I'm not a fan of it. I'm with Eric on it. I just kind of lay low. I don't.
Yeah.
So you'll see something on the Twitter, and you're like, okay, yeah, you did the thing.
Like you're not against it or anything. Like I'm not against it. I just let people have their day. And
I'll let people have their fun. Yeah. I would be annoyed if somebody were to play a significant one on me today, and I bet I'd be annoyed.
Like the saran wrap toilet seat or the.
Yeah. No,
Trev got me this morning. I was just pulling in, and I get a text from Trev that says, "Hey man, I don't think I can make it in today." And I was like, "What?" And YouTube Trev is our producer. And I said, "What? Are you sick?" And I'm in full blown panic. I'm like, "I'm gonna have to call Maddie to wake him up, or I'm gonna have to call Zach to come to wake him up." And then he replies, he goes, "Just kidding, April Fools." And he got me. It was that was a good one.
Dusty, you were in a lot of ways kind of a pioneer of this whole live streaming podcasting thing. And I know back when you started, the Oil Stream and your other pods and such, you were at the controls for a lot of it. Like you were running it, you were doing it, you were the man, you were the production, the whole bit, right? And you showed me kind of how you did it. And I wonder if it's the same for you now. Like, because when I started, I was doing the same thing, doing it all myself and, all that kind of stuff. I couldn't do it now. Like it's so far out of my, I've had people doing it. Zuby does it on our show and stuff. Like, could you still could the show have still happened?
Well, we probably could have for the first hour. But with us over here and the computer being over there, I do have a mouse that's wirelessly connected for some of the other shows. But once like Mike Johnson joined us this morning, I would have had to leave to gone over to the computer, try to set it up. And then we schedule 4 shows every morning, and like they push to each other. And I don't technically know how to do that. So it would have been it would have been pretty noticeable that Trev wasn't here. So hilarious joke. Stopped my heart for about 90 seconds, but he knew right away to come back and be like, "Just kidding. I'm here." I was just like, okay, all right, hilarious, really funny, really funny. All right, Shoggy. Well, let's just quickly get it out of the way because you are very proud of this golf simulator. You've been sending us videos. Have you been hitting the links now? I thought I saw scores on there yesterday.
No, so still waiting for my launch monitor and my hitting mat to arrive, but that's allowed me some time to kind of refine the room a little bit. So I've just been sort of like, I hung a golf picture. I was able to put flooring in where we're not going to be golfing, so I put down some rubber flooring. Now what else have I done?
Was the TV already in the garage, or did you add the TV?
Yeah, I added the flat screen to the wall.
Are you going to call the shed in your backyard like the cabin where you like award the winner? You have a sit down, that type of thing. You go from the garage to the cabin in the backyard.
No, it's not that kind of golf that's going to be played in there. It'll be ugly golf, but no, it's good, man. Like I've wanted to do this for a really long time, and so the fact that I'm now able to do it, I literally am walking the earth feeling that tingle of excitement every second of every day right now.
Part of me feels like it's a bit of a cry for help, and you're going to send us a video of, check it out, I've added a bed to the garage, and now I can sleep out here, and you've just been like kicked out of your house. And that's what's happening right now.
So flash forward 6 months, it's like, wow, I got the whole house to myself now, guys. It went great.
You'll never believe this.
Literally on my own.
Turning the living room into a secondary simulator.
I sleep in a race car.
What is this? All right, Shoggy, the Edmonton Oilers, the Ducks aren't a good team, but they blew them out. I mean, that's what you could do to a team like that. Nice win against the Los Angeles Kings as well. Had that win against the Jets last week. Have they found a mix up front? Like, are they starting to sort of lock things in? This is kind of the exact opposite conversation we had last week.
Yes. So when we last spoke, I raised a concern, as I'm sure you guys had and many of your listeners had. If there was one concern as they were heading towards the playoffs, it was that there wasn't the line continuity and the line chemistry developing that you would want, and that it was a little bit all over the place. Now, somewhat understandable given the piece that they added at the trade deadline, being as versatile as he is. He can play wing, he can play center, up, down, wherever. And given Evander Kane's drop in offensive contribution, that created a bit of an issue for them, and so it took Chris Knobloch a little bit. But I think they've got a matrix now. I think they've got a setup now that seems to make sense and that seems to work. So I could see the lines they're rolling out right now, guys, being the lines on opening night. Whereas before, if you'd asked me, I wouldn't have had much of a clue.
Ryan, I asked Mike Johnson earlier today, and how would you go about handling this stretch for the Oilers here? Of course, final month of regular season, 4 games in 6 days this week against some pretty heavy competition, but then 10 in the final 18 here. Does it matter to you catching the Canucks? I know winning the division for the fans, for the team, I mean, getting that banner, all of those things, but we've talked a lot about this team and the health that they've had. So how far would you push? How far do you you don't want to go in resting guys, 6, 7, whatever game is out, but you also want to go in. I mean, we've even identified the final game Oilers-Avs as maybe a night where McDavid and McKinnon have to go at it. So how do you kind of approach this thing knowing, again, the team's had great health, playoffs, you're on the horizon, but does it matter where you're at given the fact that you'll probably get the same competition?
Yeah, it really does, in my opinion. I don't think you take your foot off the pedal at all right now. I think you keep icing your best lineups. Maybe you try and get, make sure nobody's sitting out for too long because you might need everybody in the playoffs. So you give everybody a chance to play. I think the areas where I think they can maybe let their foot off the pedal a little bit is I think they can back off Skinner's starts a little bit. The pace that he's been starting games at, I think you're okay. Calvin Pickard's numbers are phenomenal in the month of March. Of all goaltenders who started 5 or more games, I think he was 3rd. In which one was it? Was it save percentage or was it? Well, 3rd in one of the 2 important stats. So bottom line, he played great in the month of March. So you can probably back off Skinner's starts a little bit. There's 3 sets of back-to-backs. So he's going to get at least 3 games. But honestly, I'd look at maybe 6 starts for Skinner. 5, 6 starts kind of thing and just make sure he's sharp. But I think it's really important, guys, that they continue to push hard here. Because this team has seen when it goes the wrong way for them, how far it can go the wrong way. And they want no part of that in their game as they head towards the playoffs. They got to keep sharp. They got to start games on time. They got to bring their game, not wait to see, well, how hard is the competition going to try tonight? And we'll just try a little bit harder for like 10 minutes and win the game. They got to develop good in-game habits right now and keep those. So standings aside, I would be pushing hard if I were Chris Knobloch, demanding a lot from these guys, making sure that the habits stay firm. And you know what? Honestly, Dusty, I think, the likes of McDavid and Draisaitl and Nurse and Hyman, those guys, I think they're going to command that.
Keep going, right? Yeah.
They know how important this is. They're not going to let the standard drop here down the stretch.
Connor McDavid, he's on the verge. He's going to hit 100 assists at some point this week. Last year, went into the season, scores over 60 goals, was shooting the puck a ton. This year, he's shooting the puck significantly less, but he's putting up these insane assist totals. And I know McDavid's all about playing the way he needs to play for the team to win. But it's hard not to look at him dialing back his shots by like 100 this year and passing like an insane amount to hit over 100. Probably going to get to like 110 assists this year. Is this by design? Did he think that he needs to get his teammates more involved for the team to have success? Or is this just, this sounds crazy to me, but I think he's good enough. They could be like, you know what? I'm going to get 100 assists this year. And then he goes out and does it. Like, where does this come from after last year being so driven to the net with shooting the puck and that desire to score? He's going to get like 30 goals this year. Last year he had 65. Like, it's crazy.
Isn't it crazy, right? Like, he decides one year, all right, I'll see if I can get 60 goals, be the best goal scorer in the game. So he just decided to try that for a year. It was like Draisaitl was like, hey, why don't you try this? And he was like, I could try that. Well, I think you should try that. Okay, I'm going to try that. And then boom, he's the best goal scorer in the game for a year, right? Shooting, sniping. Remember how good, that snapshot, right? Like, he was flat out beating goalies clean. Good goalies clean. From distance with a snapshot. Never had a great slap shot, but really, it's almost like he just, I think he kind of decides, this is what I'm going to do.
It's like he's playing a video game and you got to check off different boxes to get like credits.
Yeah.
And
different rewards.
And that's what
rewards.
100 assists is.
Lead the
side
league
quests.
Yeah, exactly. He's that good. And I think if McDavid, any given year where McDavid decides I'm going to focus on being a goal scorer the same way he did last year, he'll be in the fight for the goal scoring race. I just think when he applies himself to an area of his game, he's just that good that he's becomes the best in the world at it. The thing is you can't apply that level of effort to every aspect of your game every year. You can't. You have to focus on things, right? And you could spread it around a little bit, sure, like a nice combination of both, maybe. But he tends to focus in, and now he's just, his assists are off the charts. They're brilliant. His some of the passes he's making, the assists he's getting are just unreal. So it's pretty cool to watch. But would it surprise anybody if he led the playoffs in goals?
No,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Nothing.
That could be the biggest trick ever.
When the playoffs start, it's like, well, you really need to win. You need to score goals tonight to win, and he just might be so desperate to win that there is no way he's passing up a good shooting opportunity in the playoffs. His mindset might shift. It might be different in a playoff game than over 82 games. So let's just see what he decides, and let's enjoy watching.
30 goals in the regular season, 20 during a Stanley Cup run.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
what he decides, though, as you said.
It depends on if it needs to be accomplished or not. It's pretty ridiculous.
Laser focused, guys.
Yeah.
Like, he is so laser focused. I've noticed it, with each passing year, and with each of their disappointments. You talk about how you need to feel some of that pain to really be able to get yourself in the right place. And, I see in his media availabilities, I see him in practice. I see, like, he is as laser focused as I've ever seen. And this assists thing, like, he doesn't really have any interest in talking about it. He's just so focused on his game and his teammates' game being where it needs to be, because they've felt that pain. And that's a lot of talk about the Vancouver Canucks right now, how good they are. And I think they're a good team, and they've had a fantastic regular season, and good for them. But they haven't experienced, they don't have those scars. As a group together, they don't have the same level of scars, and it'll be interesting to see how those scars help propel the Oilers into the playoffs here.
Shoggy, I think David Staples was tweeting about this yesterday. I thought it was an interesting question. Which Edmonton Oiler this season do you think has been underrated by fans or by the opposition? I think it's more of a underappreciated maybe for what they've done so far this season. Is there one guy that kind of jumps off the page for you?
That's a really good question. Let me think about that for a minute. Underrated, underappreciated by fans for their
I went with Fogle. I'll just pass my answer along. I went with Fogle. Like, he's on the verge of scoring 20. He has been consistent from the very beginning. Remember when they weren't playing well, like Fogle and Kane were playing okay? He's done what I think he's done more than what you required of him. So I don't know. I don't think we talk about Fogle ever, and he's putting together a pretty decent season. So I think that's a good answer, because I think what you need on a championship caliber team is you need guys that are maybe playing above their heads a little bit. And Fogle has given them a legitimate option on their top two lines that they otherwise would not have had, right? How many guys have they tried over the years that they were hoping would be that guy? Excuse me. And so he's come in, and it's been a little bit up and down, but he's been as consistent in that spot as anybody, and scoring 17 goals, 37 points here in his 72 games. And he's not even playing 14 minutes a night, to have that kind of production.
yeah, I think I think he would be a pretty good candidate for that. Just trying to think if there's anyone else that
Pickard's
really
getting a lot of love on our
a lot of
nasty chat
messages
as
on
well,
Pickard.
which
For sure,
makes
Pickard.
sense too, as you said
For
earlier.
sure,
Ryan.
Pickard, like what he came in and did from where his career was at, it was really, really impressive. So I would definitely have him pretty high up on that list as well. But I mean, that's what you need, right? You need guys that come in and outkick their coverage a little bit, and they've had a few guys do that, and that's good.
Shoggy, we'll let you get back to work on the sim. And when's the projected first round? Like, what's happening here?
Yeah, so hoping to get the core components in sometime this week, in the next couple of days. So, I mean, I'm in there hitting. I've got a small mat that I bought.
Okay, so you've just been like
when you're setting it up, you have to hit while you're setting it up to be testing it out, right? Just to be making sure you don't have any bad ricochets and stuff.
Yeah.
So I've actually redone it multiple times because it's just honestly it has to be the right feel and fit, because what you can't have is you can't have balls coming back at your head, with velocity, because it messes with your swing. So now it gets into your head every time you're swinging. You're like, eh. So you can't have that at all.
So did you have a couple of close calls or what?
Speaking from experience?
No, nothing too close, but a few that were like riding up the screen and bouncing too far back.
Yeah.
And so then what I realized you had to do is your ceiling padding couldn't be tight to the ceiling. What I did is I hung mats that actually kind of loop, and they're off the ceiling now. So when a ball rides up the screen and goes up, it hits the pad on the ceiling and just dies right there. So lots of trial and error, lots of experimenting. And I've hammered my thumbs and fingers and driven screw guns into my nails. Like
you're like McDavid here going through the Stanley Cup playoffs, eh?
Yeah,
like the scarring and everything.
Played her. Yeah, I did say there was going to be 1 or 2 significant injuries in this process.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. Where's my thumbnail there? My thumb is.
Oh yeah.
Black.
Oh, buddy.
My thumbnail's black and it broke. So.
Man, you could never work in the patch, eh? Me neither. All right, buddy. We'll catch up next week.
Okay, have a great Monday.
There you go. That's Ryan Rishaug. Funny thing is, we were never actually streaming. We just set him up. April Fools. There's no show today. We just did this
show all along. Yeah,
Joke's on you, Ryan. We did a whole fake show for 3 hours.